Today I'm sharing my top 10 herbs to winter sow, plus a bonus plant for you. These range from culinary to medicinal herbs, and some are also great for tea. They're all low maintenance plants, are great for beginners or experienced growers, and most importantly, all of these plants are easy to winter sow successfully. In fact, winter sowing can actually improve their germination and make the plant stronger. If you're new to winter sowing, I'll link some basic videos about winter sowing below, but let's go. Coming in at number 10 is catnip. Catnip is extremely hardy and easy to grow and responds very well to the low maintenance of winter sowing. It does spread, but it's not as aggressive as mint is. It's more of a self-seeder. Cats do love it, but only about 2/3 respond to the oil that's present in catnip. This is Luke, and if you were wondering, he does like catnip. It's also great for pollinators and other beneficial insects, and it has medicinal properties. It makes for a very calming tea for us humans to consume, which tastes great actually. You can blend it with chamomile or lemon balm, and some people even use it as a sleep aid. It's also deer and rabbit resistant, it thrives with neglect, and the foliage can actually survive temperatures as low as the single digits Fahrenheit, down to -17 degrees Celsius. Number 9 is dill. Dill is one of the best plants to have in your garden, especially if you're growing vegetables. It's an annual that reseeds, and in warmer climates, it can bolt or go to seed pretty quickly in the spring, so you can succession sow it. I like to carefully transplant my winter sown dill in the spring and also direct sow some seeds next to it at the same time. And that gives me up to an extra month of dill for my cucumbers in the early summer. I also like dwarf varieties of dill because the plants are more compact and dense and they seem to bolt more slowly. But when it does bolt, I like to leave it there because it attracts so many beneficial insects to your garden, like ladybugs, hoverflies, parasitic wasps, and swallowtail butterflies also love it as well. When you're winter sowing dill, you do want to watch the temperatures at night. If your dill has sprouted and temperatures are going to drop down below 28 degrees, you can toss a blanket or frost cloth over it to help it make it through the freeze. Number 8 is parsley. Parsley is a great plant to winter sow because it likes the cooler temperatures. And of course, parsley is a commonly used culinary herb. I prefer the flat-leafed parsley for cooking. And parsley is actually a biennial. In its second year, it often flowers early, so it's key to start fresh plants every year if you want a steady supply of leaves. The flower stalks are also super cool umbel shapes that are bright green and shiny, and they make a really cool addition to cut flower bouquets. And parasitic wasps do love those flowers. Also, if you want a more hardy perennial parsley, you might want to try Japanese parsley or Mitsuba. It has a bit more of a celery flavor, but an established plant will come back every year. Coming in at number 7 is oregano. Here I'm talking about Mediterranean oregano. Oregano seed is typically difficult to start inside because it loves freeze-thaw cycles, and it will germinate much more reliably when winter sown. It is a hardy perennial as well. It's a compact bush and it reaches only 1 to 2 feet tall at most. It can spread, but it's not very invasive, and it's another that loves full sun and prefers well-draining sandy or rocky soil. Just don't plant it anywhere that it will be waterlogged, and it can live for many years with minimal care. Of course, it is used as a culinary herb, but it's also treasured for its antimicrobial and other medicinal uses. Pollinators flock to it when it's in bloom in the summertime. It's really a great one to have in your kitchen garden or cottage garden. Number 6 is hyssop. Hyssop, not to be confused with anise hyssop, is a hardy perennial herb that grows to be a small shrub up to about 2 feet tall. It often needs a cold period, so winter sowing improves the germination of it significantly. Hyssop prefers full sun and well-drained soil. If your garden is heavy clay, I would consider planting it in a raised bed. It's very drought tolerant once established, and it does very well winter sown. Just make sure that its container has plenty of drainage holes. It's also super attractive to pollinators and hummingbirds and blooms for a long time, often midsummer to fall for us here in North Texas. And it has tons of medicinal uses, especially for respiratory support. Number 5 is thyme. Thyme is another drought-tolerant, cold-hardy perennial. There are several types of thyme. Some are great for culinary uses, and some actually make a great ground cover. The most cold-hardy thyme for cooking is German winter thyme. My favorites for cooking are lemon thyme or arrangelo thyme, which have a more mild citrusy flavor. And the seeds are extremely small and need consistent moisture. So if you just sprinkle them and press them into the surface of the soil in a winter sowing container, they will tend to germinate and grow well. Thymes also are very aromatic and have medicinal uses, especially due to how they contain an antimicrobial compound. Number 4 is mint. Mint is famous for its vigor and aggressively spreading rhizomes or underground stems, but it is super easy to winter sow and grow. Winter sowing keeps it contained until it is planting time. Mint is great for its culinary uses and also is great for tea. And there are many different cultivars that provide different flavors. There's spearmint, peppermint, chocolate mint, apple mint, orange mint, pineapple mint, strawberry mint, and there are others as well. They are wonderful to have around. Just keep them contained because they do have a tendency to be invasive. I've allotted my herb spiral and various large pots that I have in the cottage garden to plants in the mint family because I love having them around. Mints are also very pollinator friendly and they have very pretty blooms that I love to add to table bouquets for their fragrance and a little bit of greenery. It does help to harvest leaves regularly and also prune it back in the winter to prevent legginess. Really quickly, if you're finding this content helpful, I would love it if you would consider liking, subscribing, or sharing it with others so that we can also continue sharing the joy of growing with others. Coming in at number 3 is lemon balm. Lemon balm is a hardy perennial that loves to be winter sown. Be sure to surface sow or just barely cover the seeds as they do need light to germinate. The roots don't spread as aggressively as mint, but it does self-seed readily, so if you don't want it to spread, just harvest the flowers and leaves or use them and dehydrate them for tea. It is a great tea that a lot of people use to calm anxiety and calm the gut. And bees love the flower nectar as well. Regularly pinching the ends of branches will keep the foliage growing into the summer, and lemon balm is easy to divide and grow by cuttings as well. Number 2 is lavender. Specifically, this is English lavender. Lavender is one of the trickiest seeds to germinate indoors due to its need for cold stratification. However, I've had lots of success winter sowing it, and most English lavender is winter hardy to zone 4 once established. It's lovely and compact and a beautiful plant to have in a cottage garden or a landscape, and as another drought-tolerant, low-care plant. Just be sure your soil is well draining. If you have sandy soil, that works great. Lavender never requires fertilizer. The blooms are super fragrant, and of course, lavender is useful for culinary, aromatherapy, relaxation, and it's also great because the blooms last into the fall here in North Texas, which is perfect for our bees. It takes a couple of years for lavender to get big and bloom for you, but it is well worth sowing the seeds in my opinion. And coming in at number 1 is chamomile. This is specifically German chamomile. Chamomile seeds are tiny and they do need light to germinate, so be sure to just scatter them on the soil surface and gently press them into the soil in your winter sowing container. They really respond well to winter sowing and are probably the most forgiving plant I've winter sown. Chamomile is drought tolerant once established. Bees and hoverflies love it, and it's such a gorgeous, airy, textural plant for a cottage garden or on the border of a vegetable bed. There is nothing better than walking through the garden to breathe in chamomile and collect its flowers. It makes such a wonderful calming tea and is most enjoyable fresh in my opinion, though you can dry it and save it as well. It is an annual, but it does reseed very readily, so be ready to have it forever. And I do have a bonus herb for you. It is fennel. I always like to have a fennel plant around in my garden because it, like dill, is a host plant for swallowtail butterflies. But it's even better than dill in my opinion because it's more cold hardy, more heat tolerant, it's larger, and it provides more food for those swallowtail caterpillars. In my experience, they have always chosen the fennel over the dill plant, which helps me to keep more of my dill. So I hope that this list has been helpful. Let me know which ones you're winter sowing this year. I wish you joy, and I'll see you next time.